Today's session is Visual Studio 2017 and VS Code. I have a bit of a plan to go through a little bit of history, and then I want to talk about my favorite things in Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. I'll talk about VS Code and Visual Studio and .NET Core. And I've kind of put this session together talking to a lot of the guys in my office about their favorite features. We didn't have complete consensus on what was cool. There's lots of good investments in there, but hopefully you'll walk away with a few good tips. All right, so very quickly, a quick trip down memory lane. 2002, well, we don't use any of it. The only thing we really cared about was NUnit came out back then. 2003, we don't use any of it. We still use ReSharper. 2005, well, what did we get that we care about? Well, we got generics, I think. We still care about that. And Git was created in 2005 by Linus. 2008, that was the year of the iPhone and Android. We thought MVC was super important at the time. I guess Link is the big guy. It was also the time XUnit came out as well. All right. So 2010, we got, well, I always remember this from last year, but how many people in the room play around or have played around with F#? Okay, so I've got about a quarter of the room, and when I've asked that question in other countries, you basically get 0. I always find that amazing. So, so we got F#, which you guys would care about, and we got IntelliTrace, which had a big promise. And 2012, well, we pissed off all the developers with our black and white. We got NuGet, that was pretty important. We also got Microsoft embraced open source unit testing. So it was the first time they kind of backtracked on their original idea that we wouldn't, that they wouldn't just include NUnit and XUnit in the box. That instead, what they would do is they would write their own MS test, and that was kind of a, kind of not the optimal decision that they made, which we've learnt about 12 years later. All right, so it was the first time they gave us some non-developer tool as well to help developers, but really, this product hasn't really taken off. Other people, the UX designers have taken over. They use Macs and other apps, which are all pretty cool. It's kind of sad because the way that Microsoft do this is they create a kind of a cool product and they put it in the expensive SKU. So, normal people can't afford them, except in Norway, I know. Like, what I love about Norway is the fact that before I had come to Norway, I had only seen 5 Teslas in my life. And the first hour I was here, I think I'd seen about 30. And at that point in time, we didn't even have 30 in Australia. So I bought the number 12 Tesla, and that's like a big deal in Australia, but here it's like a taxi or something. But in normal countries, these type of tools were in the ultimate version, and they were very expensive, so they didn't get traction. Other companies will create tools like this, make them free, get a user base, and then start charging. So, but I still love it. But yeah, there's other tools around. And we got TypeScript in 2013, and of course we got VisualStudio.com, which was enormous. How many people use VisualStudio.com for their source control? Can I get a show of hands? You guys are shy. Well, it's like this, and it's hard to count. Okay, who loves Norway? All right, that's most, not everyone. Who's not from Norway? Oh, quite a few. Okay. Who's from a long way away? What's a long way away in Norway? Australia. All right. Yeah, VisualStudio.com is huge. TypeScript was huge, and Microsoft at this point in time in 2013 start talking to Linus, and that becomes an important part because we know that Microsoft have pretty much switched everything to Git now. Okay, so those initial conversations were super important. And even Windows have switched to Git. So that's, and Brian Harry blogged about that recently. That's a big deal. Who is still on TFVC? Yep. Just a few. Not too proud of that. Who's on Git? Everyone. Okay, even more than loves Norway. Great. That's fantastic. All right. So and Microsoft started releasing a little differently. Rather than a 2-year release cycle, they started doing small things. You know, an update 1, we got Git support. Like, that's enormous. You know, update 2, we got lots of stuff coming. And it wasn't just bug fixes, it was lots of cool stuff coming. Update 3, we got Cordova. And update 4, you know, it just kept on coming. Release manager, okay? And when they released this, everybody that I knew used Octopus, okay? And this release manager kind of they did a pretty good job eventually. It took them a few goes. And we pretty much do almost all new projects on release management. How many people here are still using Octopus? Wow, it's huge in Norway. 2/3 of the room. Who's using Visual Studio Release? Just less than a quarter. Right, awesome. Okay, so and then we got Roslyn. It was a big deal. We got CodeLens, a big deal. We got ASP.NET 5, which got renamed to ASP.NET Core. And, you know, that was all pretty good. Update 1, we got go to implementation. Update 2. So you can see a lot of this stuff starts coming around. It's strange to think in 2015 was the first time we had auto-update extensions. It feels like we've had it forever. Update 3, we got the VSTS Marketplace. Really, really important. It's like super important. I'd been pleading for that for many years, and so had a lot of other MVPs. We got this nice little thing. I like it. You know, you just type a class, looks it up, a light bulb. Microsoft invented this idea of the light bulb, or they, or they thought of it. Then you see that light bulb, and then you click this guy, and then it will go and automatically find the latest package, and then it'll show you the code it's about to change, and then it's in. All right. So what's in 2017? Well, we're going to find out during this session. All right. So a little about me. I am a Microsoft Regional Director. There's a couple in every country around the world. I am well known because I crashed a Tesla, the first Tesla. Now I should be clear, this post was just to scare my wife, and it was done on the first, but it seemed to get me too much notoriety. Yeah, I guess that happens in Norway all the time, doesn't really? Yes, but in Australia that was big deal. In fact, I recently had a pretty bad motorcycle accident, and a lot of people thought I was joking. You know, I broke 4 ribs. I damaged my kidney, my liver, had a bleeding spleen, and a collapsed lung, and that was like 2 months ago. And now I'm here. I'm only coming because I'd already paid for Tough Mudder. And so, so I'm going with Jacob, the guy that runs NDC, and Martin and a few other guys. And yeah, we'll see. I haven't done much exercise. I had to sleep sitting up for like a month.
I haven't done much exercise for the last.
Oh yeah, well, generally I don't do enough exercise. That's a known fact. But anyway, I'm still here. And I'm not riding motorbikes anymore. All right. There's my little girls. All right. So let's go through the biggest user gripes. What are the biggest complaints you guys have about Visual Studio? Too much memory, slow. Is that it? Crashing. It's pretty stable. It doesn't crash a lot.
Depends on your code.
Depends on your code. There you go. Whoa, harsh one. Who has a lot of crashing? All right. Okay, well, I'm going to walk you through the biggest user gripes that are on user voice. We all get 10 votes, right? And we use our 10 votes. I wish I had more than 10 votes because I have a lot of complaints. But I'm inside you know, the Microsoft product teams, and I see how they work. They really do care about user voice, so I am going to encourage you to use it. But here is what I took. I took the big ones. Everybody complains, 4,000 votes about a build server. They just want to go to build server, not install Visual Studio. And I'm just going to tell you very quickly, that one is done. All right, they nailed that. They've got this, this buildagent.zip that you download, you install it. Instead of a 3 or 4 hour task, it's, say, 15, 20 minutes. All right? So let me take you through a few others. I'm actually not sure why anyone cares. It's a one-time piece of pain. But, and there are some workarounds at the moment, you know, in the earlier versions, but they weren't legal, so people didn't want to follow them. Okay? So some people want this. We have transforms on web.config. They want on any config file. And other people say they want on any file at all. I reckon this would be very scary. Like, you know, this would if Microsoft gives us this, and I won't tell you just yet whether they did, but it'd feel like you know, SQL Server triggers. You know, when you're trying to debug something, and the last thing you think of is there's some weird trigger running on some table. I reckon this would be weird. But anyway, non-nullable reference types is another one people want. There's a lot of votes there. Bringing universal apps to Android and iOS. Some people, when they see the word universal app, say this glaze over. People don't like this. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay. Enable XAML debugging. I'm not sure. I don't get this, but it's a very popular request. We don't have HTML debugging like that. But anyway. We make the installation of Visual Studio lightweight and fast. Okay, that's a big one. Give us some type of task manager to find out if ReSharp is slow or something. Make solutions load faster in general. Don't show us this dialog box. Stop your dependency on IE. All right. Anyway, I haven't given you them all, but I've given you a range of the top ones, and we'll walk through and see which ones they gave us. Now, what I'd like to do is go through my number one thing, and my number one thing is .NET Core. Who is building a solution for production at the moment on .NET Core? Full hands. Full. I can only see 2. Keep your hands up. 2, 4, 5, 6. So hardly anyone. I think this is something I'd love to see change, and I think naturally you will. We have been building pretty much all our services on .NET Core. Let me run you through a quick recap. So, people like it because it's faster. They like it because it's cross-platform and you can use your Mac. They like it because you can deploy it anywhere on Linux. They like it because it's open source. Of all these reasons, which is your big one? Whose is their biggest one? Is it because of performance? So, maybe a third. Whose biggest one is developing on a Mac or so? Just 2, 3, hardly anyone. Who cares about that they can deploy it anywhere? Well, that's the big one. All right, so that's more than half the room. And who cares about open source being the big one? Well, that's quite a few. All right, so that's like almost a dozen. All right, great. So this is what last year, when I came here, we went through what the story was at the time. And this is kind of what I said. No more CS Proj. It's all about JSON. We don't want XML anymore. Forget about web.config. We use config.json. We're all cool now. No more packages.config. We use packages.json. All cool? Okay, so.
I'm back, baby.
All right. So then Microsoft made this blog post, and they basically said when we started building .NET Core and ASP.NET Core, it was important to have a project system, worked across Windows, Mac, Linux, worked in editors other than Visual Studio. The new project.json format was created. Feedback from customers was they loved it, but they also wanted their projects to work with existing .NET code they've already had. So in order to do this, we're making .NET Core. Gee, it takes a lot of words to actually say, you know, we're actually switching back. Sorry about that. We could have had much less words. Anyway, we come in here. This is how we do it. CS Proj, and we go web.config, and just the normal CS Proj. Okay? So if you learn all that stuff, forget about it. Okay, so if you open your new project, this is what will happen. You'll open it up, and it will say, hello, review project and solution changes. No, please. These projects are either not supported or need project behavior impacting modifications to open this version of Visual Studio. Projects not displayed require... Anyway, basically what they mean, I don't even see the word sorry here, but you just press OK and you're good to go. If you want to do it command line, you just go .NET migrate. And it's just a very simple one-time fix. And we're back where we started. Beautiful. And last year, I said about we have this runtime DNX, and we have this version manage DNVM, and we have this KPM package manager. And that's all you need to know, and you're good to go. And the way it would work is you'd come here, you would download the DNVM, you would install the DNX, you would restore the KPM, and then we would use DNX to run the app. Okay, so that's been renamed. So we now have DNX is now .NET Run. DNVM is .NET Upgrade. Isn't this simpler? And KPM is .NET Restore. So let's have a look at how we do it now. .NET New, .NET Restore, .NET Run. Okay, so let's go through here. .NET New. It creates a project using the template. .NET Restore. And it will go and restore any of the packages in the template. And then it's just .NET Run. And this is a console app. And we should get Hello World. Great. Bingo. So it's just create an app, .NET New, and you see a folder with all the files from the template. Then you will go .NET Restore, and it will just look at all the packages, your NuGet packages in your CS proj. And then .NET Run. So it'll run the project, and we're good. That's exactly the whole kit and caboodle. Now, when you're doing it for a web project, let's talk about a web project. Okay, so we go .NET New -T, that's the template, web, .NET Restore, and .NET Run. Exactly the same, except which template you're choosing. Sound good so far? All right, so under the covers, the web server is not good old IIS. They've made one called Kestrel. Okay, so let's have a look here. .NET New -T web, and that will go and create the project. .NET Restore, and that will go and look up the NuGet packages and .NET Run, and it will kick open the Kestrel web server. It will start executing, and it will go and request all the resources, and we should be good to go. And that's the entire process. So .NET Core is not that intimidating, I hope you can see. And you can see heaps more about that during this awesome conference. So then you pop open a browser, and we're good to go. This is what we see first time. Okay, so what was involved? Well, we create the project, and these were all the files that were created this time. So based on the template, you can see this is a web project. You see all the web stuff. Okay, .NET Restore restores all the stuff based on the NuGet packages. And then .NET Run, we'll use the Kestrel web server, and you'll just open up a browser and run it. So if you look closely at what was happening before, we have a home controller index action being executed here. Then we see a CS HTML file being served here. And then we see all the static stuff, all the CSS, all the images, all that stuff. And not that I think anyone ever looks at what's happening there, but that's essentially what's happening. All right, so the new version coming out, you will just be able to pick up your phone, use Cortana, and say, create me a .NET Core app. Okay? And the version after, you'll just be able to think of it. That'll be next year, and it'll just create. All right. All right. Nobody tweet that. Okay, that's NDA what I just told you. All right. So here's the story. It's fast. Super, super, super fast. It runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac. And it's very simple to run. All right. How many people think that the investments in this are worthy and think that you might use this for your next project to build the services? All right, all right. That's 90% of the room. Thank you, sir. All right. It's for a very special thing. Now, what we need, so I'm just going to tell you a couple of things, and then we're going to do a Tim Tam Slam. So I'm needing 6 volunteers. Apparently, it's very... I tried this last year, but I spent most of the session just trying to get 6 people to come down. Okay, so there's going to be some very nice Tim Tams. I might just throw a few just to whet your appetites. All right. There we go. All right. Oh, look. Good catch. So, start thinking. Now, you've got to choose what you're going to do your front end in. This is going to be controversial. You've got to choose Angular or React. They're the two big ones. Or you might want to choose Vue or Aurelia. Have I missed any? No. Wow. I captured everyone. Okay, so in Australia, Angular and React pretty much have taken over all large projects, enterprise projects. My experience is, well, I've got a company of about 40 C# guys, or web guys, and I think generally, even though we'll do Angular or React, I think naturally C# guys just like Angular. It's strict. The TypeScript is natural for a C# guys. They like the dependency injection. They like the module way it works. They just generally navigate to this. It's backed by Google. It has multiple things in the box. Like you get routing straight away. You get unit testing in the box. You get validation in the box. Everything just comes. React, if you like CSS and you like HTML and you like JavaScript and you think that's kind of how the web will work, you will find it confronting to do React because you've got this JSX and you've got to basically throw all your HTML and it's not natural HTML, etc., that goes through that. That said, React is a much better platform to use on an existing project. You know, on a multi-page application, it works nicely. If you're going to do Office development, if you're going to do any Office 365 extensions, I don't know if you've seen all the new stuff that they've just released with the communication sites and all that SharePoint stuff, and it's pretty nice. And all those extensions are in React. Vue is huge in China. We have a China office, and everybody in China talks about Vue. It's the fastest growing thing. Alibaba, you all know Alibaba, I hope. That is the biggest thing in China. They do everything on that. Jack Ma is loved by everyone, it's like the Richard Branson over there, and they are heavy influences of Vue. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see which way you go. And then you've got nice ones like Aurelia, just don't have, it's an elegant solution, simple, done nicely, doesn't have a lot of market traction. All right, how many people here go with, for their next project, will go with Angular? Can I just see the percentage? Who goes with Angular for their next project? So 2/3. Who will go with React for their next project? Oh, a third. Who will go with Vue? Not a soul. Oh, one. Okay, interesting. And Aurelia. Aurelia, wow. All right, so we got less than, oh no, maybe an eighth or something. So that's awesome. I will just mention to you that going something non-mainstream like Aurelia is potentially dangerous. Only if you look at like the numbers. The numbers themselves are, if you just look at Angular, in the last month, 1.5 million downloads, and that's not counting Angular.js. That's just basically Angular 4 now. Then you've got React, the whole kit and caboodle, 4.5, so it's huge. You got Vue, 500,000. That's not bad. And you got Aurelia, and that's 25,000. So pretty tiny. Anyway, all right. I just want to mention something. I have been coming to Norway for some years, and Norway to me was Oslo. And I had only seen Oslo. All I'd seen is Teslas everywhere. That was my memory. And for the first time, when I came this time, I went down to Kristiansand. And Kristiansand is a town down south, you kind of know. But it's a long flight to here, add another couple of hours waiting at the train station and getting on this train down. And I was traveling comfort class, K for comfort. I do like that you use K instead of C. Much more user-friendly. Anyway, it took me a while to realize. Does anyone see the problem with this? Who sees a problem? One person sees a problem, and only because I pointed it out to him. Right. it took me a long time on the train before I realised what was going on. The trains, I know this is not strange for you, but I'd never seen it or heard of it. The trains pull over and then another train comes the other direction. There's only one train line. Last night, like you've got Teslas everywhere, but you only have one train track. I was trying to explain this to Adam Stevenson last night. They have a train, and the train has one track. And at first he thought I was talking about inside the carriage, and it was like he didn't see the problem. I said, no, the train goes on one track only. Like, you know, aren't you just as surprised as me? And he goes, oh, I see, you mean like on a monorail, so they put the train on one rail going and the other one. No, there's one track, Steve-O. Like, you have to put a lot of faith in the train driver that he will remember to pull over. I couldn't sleep. It was terrible. And I was in comfort class. I'm right at the front, and that's the most dangerous place to be. Anyway, I didn't like it. Anyway, all right. So I need 6 volunteers very quickly. Can I get 6? Very, very quick. All right, 1. Come on. Yes? Yes? Come on, quick. All right, we got 1. Okay, I need some more. Quickly. I need some girls. And you can't have done a Tim Sam Slam before. Okay. Yeah, you get chocolate. It's worth it. Oh, we got another one, quick. Now, I'm going to tell you the rules. We didn't get glass. They didn't give us glass. We won't be able to see this very easily. Okay, but here's the deal. This is a Tim Tam Slam. I need 2 more. Quickly. So this is what's going to happen. In Australia, this is how we drink coffee. This is our straw. Okay? And I'm going to... Can you just put it over there? Okay. So you're allowed 2. That's it. Okay, and you've got to drink as much of the coffee as you can. Here is the deal. Can I get 2 more? Come on. Okay. Norwegians are so shy. Why is that? Oh, yes, I got one. Thank you. Awesome. So this is the instructions, very quickly. This is your straw. You bite the corner off, and just make sure it goes all the way through, and then you go the opposite end, and you bite the other corner. All right? Now, the deal is you can use 2, but you've got to drink as much coffee as you can. Now, be aware it's hot coffee. It's going to, when you suck really hard, it will fill up very fast, but you can't let it go because it will drop, and then you'll lose. So you've got to fill it up real fast, and you throw it into your mouth. It will explode in your mouth. Not a big explosion. Nothing bad. All right, you ready? Okay, don't start yet. All right. You have to be on the other side. We need to watch you. Okay, now don't start. Oh, there's some cheating going on. He's preparing. No, you can't drink yet. You ready? Okay. Ready? Get your coffee ready. You can take the lid off. Now I'm going to be measuring how much coffee got drunk. Ready? Set, go. You can have 2. Oh, he's done the whole end. He's going to be... That's not going to work. It is possible. It's technique. Let me tell you. He's taking too long. He's going to lose it. She's eating. This is... It's a straw. There's a mess there. He's going to have a bad day when he goes home to see his wife. All right. And he's lost it. And we have a winner? Yes, we have a winner. I don't know how you did. Did you drink it? Oh, that's very impressive. All right. You won. Congratulations. All right. And second place. And I have a few for you guys. All right, there you go. Thank you. And you can take that home. Can I keep my coffee? Yes, you can keep your coffee. Awesome. There we go. That's all. That's the only humour we get in Australia. And these are our best biscuits. I brought the most expensive biscuits that you have. I got to tell you, there's a couple of things I have loved about Norway. It's a great idea. You have hot bathroom floors. That's a great idea. I'm taking that back to Australia. I'm going to see if it takes off. But I really think that's an amazing idea. I don't know whether you guys thought of it, but that is just incredible. And you know the other thing I love? You have a chewing gum which is licorice flavoured. Who would have thought of that? Yeah, so I've had some fun down in Christian sand. All right. Now you've chosen your framework. Most of you chose Angular, and less of you chose React. And then third place was Aurelia. So you have to choose whether you're going to use VS Code or Visual Studio. You can choose either. People do. Which one are you guys primarily using VS Code or VS 2017? Who says VS Code primarily? Okay. Oh, not even an eighth maybe. Who's using Visual Studio as their primary one? Okay, 90%. All right, cool, maybe more. So let's talk about this. So VS Code isn't totally mainstream yet, but it's getting bigger and bigger. I'll just walk you through it. Basically, we have Notepad comes out in 83, and then we get Notepad++, that took a while. And then we get Sublime. And then we get Atom. And then we have this, Microsoft surprised everyone, and they give us VS Code Preview. And then they give us, they open source it on GitHub, really surprising. And then they give us an RTM version. So we've had this for a couple of years. This is starting to get kind of mature. If you have a look at this, these are the numbers. You can see that Notepad++ is right. Now, this always frustrates me when people show me this. Do you see the problem? See the categories? When people give you Google Trends, they have to change the categories. So you change it to development tools, and you will see, which is reality, Sublime is huge. And you'll also see that VS Code is catching up real fast, real fast. So here is the story. You have these front-end developers, okay? They're usually pretty handsome dudes. They don't want Visual Studio. They're not going to wait a couple of hours to it install. They don't want a big fat thing because they use Macs anyway, so it's not going to work. They're very comfortable with all enterprise languages, JavaScript and HTML, all right? Angular and React now, and they've got a lot of power for what they can do. Okay, and they're very handsome. Now, what you probably don't know, see that guy? Everyone thinks he's some hipster. This is the most hated guy in Australia. This guy dumped our Kylie Minogue. Okay, maybe you don't know who Kylie Minogue is, but she's beautiful. She's never been able to find a husband of proper standing, and he is some nasty English cat. All right. Anyway, we've got .NET developers. Okay, .NET developers. They know that Visual Studio is slow. It's not a big deal. They use Windows. They care about productivity, Intellisense, navigating code, CodeLens. They're not giving this stuff up. They want nice debugging. That's where they sit, okay? And he's not impressed. So let's walk through this. You've got front-end developers. They notice a light bulb broken. They cover the light bulb with yellow paint, and they tell the back-end that the light bulb is now working just during the day. Now, this is my experience, and this is a genuine experience. I go and talk to CIOs and CTOs probably every couple of days around Australia. And every time you go to them, all they want to talk about is front-end technologies. They're mesmerized by Angular or React and all the discussions around that and whether, where all this sits and how they should be doing it. Whatever we're talking about, we are going to probably be gone in a few years' time, and we'll be starting again. Those services, the ones that they give a disproportionate small amount of headspace, is what they will have years later. So I consider VS Code this part, and I consider Visual Studio this part. And that's how the conversations should be going in my mind. More time spent on the architecture. It's very sad that it's not the case. Anyway, you can see front-end developers are getting more and more popular. It's just a fashion thing in my mind. But you do want to get your front end right, but you want to care more about your services. Let's talk about VS Code. It's very lightweight, has lots of languages. It's got Git built in, heaps of extensions which make it awesome, and it's got all necessary stuff for IntelliSense. It's got peak debugging, etc. How many people here are actually using VS Code for their C# stuff? Not a soul. Okay. Interesting. So just for front-end development. Right, good. I think that will change. So there's not a soul in the entire room. When we talk about this in a year's time, we'll see what happens. But, VS Code, it's super lightweight. You get all your IntelliSense. It's I would say, as good as Visual Studio in that sense. You can quickly peek. You can right-click on here, and you can peek down. You don't have to go into other files. It looks quite nice. Let's talk about the experience. Here's the experience. We're going to go File, New Project. Okay? File, New Project. I'll call it Project Awesome. Okay? Here pops all the files. And that is just, we've been through that before with, the templates. So what do we want to do? We just want to run the file now. So let's press this little button, little green button. Boom. Wow, first decision. I have to make a decision here. What environment do I pick? I'll choose .NET Core. Let's go through. And it will, in the background, just add a couple of files. Launch.json. So you'll see these launch.json and task.json. You'll see, if you look closely, all this stuff got added. So let's have another go. I don't know what it did. It just did some stuff. Let's press that little green button again. You ready? Click. And it goes, hello, no task runner is configured. You go, oh, sorry. So let's configure task runner. So you click on that and you go, which task runner? Well, I know Grunt is dead. Gulp, maybe close. .NET Core, I'll choose .NET Core. Okay. So I'm not really sure, but let's give that a go. Okay, let's click this guy. And, ready? Bingo. Whoa. Error. Launch JSON must be configured. That's weird. You put that file there, not me. Okay, so I'll open launch.json. Who is new to VS Code and can see what the problem is? One? Have we got a hand? Put your hand up if you can see the problem. Okay, we got one. So the rest are just looking. It's just, you've got to have a look here. You'll see that the default file is here. So they should, auto-fill that correctly. But anyway, you'll open the launch.json at that point in time and you'll start looking through it. You'll go, whoa, what's going on here? All right, so there's the path. I better fix that up. What else is here? We've got this auto-launch the browser. We can see, well, we've got a Windows, an OS X, and a Linux. All looks pretty cool. So you learn a little bit about launch.json, but then you get back to your work after reading a few blogs on that stuff. And now we're ready to go forward. So let's update that path. It's now the right DLL, projectawesome.dll. And let's, you want to give this another go? Let's press it. One more time. Click. Run. Debug, download .NET Core Debugger in command palette. So now you have to find where the command palette is, or know the right keystroke. So you close that. And that is Control-Shift-P. You'll open this thing and you'll write download .NET Core Debugger. Great. And here we have, it's downloading something called OmniSharp. And OmniSharp, I always think this is awesome because this wasn't created by Microsoft. This was created by a guy in Manchester. His name's Jason Emerson. And he was a developer at a company and just writing C# code every day. And he decided he wanted to do his own little pet project, maybe a little startup. So he goes home. But he said to me, I did not want to feel like I was at work. So I built a Linux machine and I made it look and feel different. So when I got home and I started coding, I didn't feel like I was at work. So he starts using Vim and he goes, I cannot do this without Intellisense. So I know a lot of normal people would go back to Visual Studio, but this guy said, I'll write an Intellisense plugin. So he writes this Intellisense plugin, which I can't imagine how long that took, but he writes some Intellisense plugin, and then he reads some blog of someone using Emacs or something, and goes, gee, I wish Emacs had this. And he goes, I've written it. You know what I'll do? I'll put it on GitHub, and I'll let you use it as well. And he wants to call it C# everywhere, but he's very creative. So he makes the everywhere the other way around. And then he looks up what everywhere means in Greek, and he calls it OmniSharp. There you go. He makes a GitHub project, and from that point, when you put things up on GitHub, they make a life of their own. And some dudes in Korea who he didn't even know start making it work for Sublime, and it becomes this awesome extension that everyone's using. Then Microsoft hear of it 5 years later. David Fowler, you might see him around the truck this week, he gets hold of him and says, we want to use that thing too. and it's kind of a bit covert because they wanted to use it in VS Code, but they hadn't told anyone about that. So they kind of get him to work on it in the Monaco environment. And then he changes the compiler to Roslyn at that point. And anyway, that's how we got here. Sorry about that tangent. All right. So anyway, you get this OmniSharp thing. And now we're ready to go. Let's press it again. You want to give it a go? Will it work? Bingo! So you're pretty happy. Will it step into the debugging? Yes, it will step into the debugging, and it's all good. So now the breakpoints work. And so it's just the same as this. You just jump through a hoop, and a second hoop, and a third hoop, and a fourth hoop, right? So let's try that again. So first hoop, the .NET Core environment, and then the task run, then they update the DLL and download the .NET Core debugger, and we're good to go. Fantastic. All right. How many people here are running the Insiders version? Hands up. One? Is that a two? Three. Okay, not many. Anyway, I encourage you to change that. This is a preview version. The experience is better in this. It's a warning. Warning, only for real men. Okay? It changes every day. This is not for everybody. So, let's go through here. Let's do the exact same experience. We open it. As soon as we open the C# file, it goes automatically without doing anything. You don't even notice it. It says downloading package OmniSharp. Now you know what OmniSharp is. That's happening. It just auto-detects all that stuff. And it knows we need the .NET Core debugger as well. Downloads that. It gives some warning. Can I add some extra assets to your project? You go, I guess so. All right, so you read that and you go, yep. So it adds over on the left-hand side, launch.json and task.json. And you'll notice, remember the problem we had with launch.json? So if you look over here, do we have the same problem? No, you can see that in launch.json, they've updated the DLL to be the right name, and it auto-fills the path, and it just works. All right? That's the Insiders version, and that's just an example of the current thing. So you've always seen the old version just some months behind. Be aware, you can run them side by side. So I know there's only 3 people here using it. I would encourage all of you to have the Insiders version and the other version installed. All right, and there's only one hoop. Isn't that awesome? Yes, anyway. All right. So in summary, it's the Insiders version, nicer experience, bleeding edge, daily releases, and then you need to grab the right extensions. Now, grabbing the right extensions makes your React Day or your Angular Day much better, okay? So, how many people here are convinced that they are going to be running VS Code and the Insiders version? Ah, all right, 3/4. Most. That's good. Let me tell you about the right extensions. Now, you can, Adam Stevenson and Duncan Hunter have a whole session on all this stuff, so you can go and see them talk about all this stuff. I'm going to tell you very quickly so you don't have to go to the session, all right? These are all the extensions you need. Angular language service, the TypeScript snippets, the Angular 2 inline, the switcher, the bracket pair colorizer. All right, all these things. Heaps of them. And you just grab the slides, you're good to go. In addition, who knows Johnny Papa? Johnny Papa, he's awesome. You've got to follow this guy. He created an extension to get all those extensions. So you don't even have to know what I just told you. Just grab the Angular Essentials. Who already knew of this? Put your hand up if you knew. 3 people. Okay. So this is awesome. Okay. Absolutely awesome. All right. Let's jump into 2017. 2017. This is my favorite. Okay. So let's just do what we just did in 2017. File new project. And we choose ASP.NET Core. Now, please ignore, I don't know how Microsoft do this. You see this icon? Like most guys in our company, it wouldn't matter what it said. If it has a VB icon next to it, they're not clicking anything. Now, I know it's just a little bug. But anyway, so you click OK. And now we come into this web application. Martin, he didn't laugh because he likes VB still. That's how old he is. All right. So we come in here and we create this project. This project that you're looking at is exactly the same as what we just did before. This is the same files generated by .NET new-t web. It looks identical, except, well, there's a couple of changes, I guess. Microsoft put some special folders here, and Microsoft in Visual Studio hide things. So see this .vs? That's like the secret settings. They don't show you, I don't know, .NET developers don't want to see that stuff. And the VS Code stuff is hidden, and you know. But other than that, if you look from the bottom up, it's the same look. Anyway, all right. So time to debug. Let's try F5. Do you reckon this will work? Oh, just works. Okay, that's Visual Studio for you. Anyway, drops into the debugging, and it's all good. Now, you might think, why do people choose Visual Studio? And it's because there's so much richness. If your boss says, hey, can you just deploy to Azure, please? And you've never done that before. If you're in VS Code, you've got a world of pain working out all the right command lines. If you're a .NET developer and never done it, you just come in here and you go, I don't know, where do I go? Publish, I want to choose Azure. Oh, there it is. I'll click Azure. Does that work? Create the profile. What does that mean? Oops, this pops up. Or I'll just take the defaults, whatever that is. Bingo, I've just deployed. Look at the URL. I've just deployed to Azure. That's just an example. There's so much richness in Visual Studio, so that's why I still think it's important to do your C# side in Visual Studio. Anyway, that'll probably change. All right, so let's talk about my second favorite feature here, and that is open folder. In VS Code, you can go File, Open Folder. Okay, that's normal, right? It has taken Visual Studio team 16 years to give us this. File, Open Folder. And nobody in Norway is even impressed. If I was doing this in America, everybody would be cheering and, you know, oh well, don't worry. Okay, hard to please. All right. Anyway, you can do Visual Studio for more than C# these days. You can do it for all languages, and you just install the right workload and you're good to go. All right, so let's go through this. We've talked about .NET Core being awesome and open as folder. I thought was awesome. You guys didn't think as awesome at all. But anyway, let me go through my next ones. And these are the next ones I'm going to run through. I want to talk about a quicker installer. I want to talk about lightweight solution loading, better Intellisense, better debugging, JavaScript and TypeScript debugging in Chrome, live unit testing, code styling. Okay, and lots of language extensions, and I've included heaps more in my PowerPoints for you. Alrighty, so let's talk about the quicker installer. We have this. So you just install, you're good to go, and in minutes you're up and running, depending on the workload. So you choose your workload. Most people would choose, I guess, .NET or mobile or whatever you're choosing. And it's just a grouping of components, and you might choose UWP, Azure, and Web Dev as an example, and you're good to go. So I am going to say one of these things here where they had 1,900 votes, make it more lightweight, put some investment in the installer itself. I would consider that done, but I'm curious. How many people here consider that done and that's a great experience now? Most. 80. Who's still not happy? Anyone still not happy? No one. Okay. All right. So the other thing that's like inconsequential, but the updates are rolling out quick. Have you noticed how quick they are to install now? Now they're extensions and stuff. Like we're talking minutes, and all these updates that are coming regular are really good. I'm really impressed anyway. All right, so the next one, getting up and running quick. You get a fresh machine, you install Visual Studio. Now you have to go through and install your favorite extensions. Most people go and get ReSharper, productivity tools, and Web Essentials. So we have this new roaming extensions manager. So this will, basically when you log in, you keep all your extensions. So this is kind of how it works. In 2015, they gave us the settings and the themes and the text editor and your Team Explorer stuff would come through. Now the extensions come through as well. So they kind of rounded this feature set off. I think that's pretty good. Next one, people whinge about Visual Studio taking too long to load and open. So one of the products that I'm a product owner of is something called TimePro. It's just a timesheeting app which allows you to enter your timesheets in one go. It pulls through everything through from CRM or Salesforce or visualstudio.com and all that stuff. So this is kind of, it's been an old project, it's been around for a fair while. It's got 39 projects in it. And when I did the test in Visual Studio 2015, you get 11 seconds to load and 36 seconds to load the solution. All right? So this is just my testing, my examples. So 2017, is it faster? To load Visual Studio, 5 seconds, so more than twice as fast. To load the solution is 26 seconds. All right, all good? Who's happy with that improvement? Okay, all right, quarter. So, hard to please. I have a bit more. There is this little thing here, which is not on by default. You have to turn it on. And there's a couple of reasons it probably wasn't on by default when it was released. It didn't fully work with ReSharper and live unit testing and things like that. And there are cases where some extensions are built that don't work with this. So I'm going to tell you that most of those problems have been sorted out in the updates. There's pretty much 1 or 2 to go, but it's pretty good. I'm going to tell you to turn it on. And let's look at the performance now. So I told you the 11 and 36 seconds, and it went to 5 seconds and 26. Turn that feature on, and let's do it again. With that on, it loads in 5 seconds. Identical, no difference to load. Okay? And to load the solution is 15 seconds. That's that solution. So that was, for me, 58% faster. Is that impressive? So just turn that thing on, and things will be faster. All right. Now, if you open up solution and very quickly open a folder that's not loaded, you'll see, this Ajax style loading. All right. Okay. Great. So I am going to say for this one is done. All right. So let's talk about performance. So there's dodgy Chrome extensions, right? What do you use for when you've got a dodgy Chrome extension or a dodgy page or whatever? This guy, okay? Anyone ever go to this? Yeah? If you've got dodgy coffee, that's a big deal in Australia. We have our own little app. It's called Bean Hunter. I came here, tried Bean Hunter. It doesn't even work in this country. Nobody bothers logging the quality of the coffee here. Yes, it doesn't matter to you guys. All right. Anyway, I think we have too much time in our hands, Stephen. All right. Anyway, what do you do if you've got a dodgy Visual Studio extension? Well, you come in here, Help, Manage Visual Studio Performance. Why is this in the Help menu? Is this the right menu? I would have put this as Visual Studio Task Manager or whatever, and it should be in the Tools menu. Yes? Should be. This is like going to Spotify and going rock and roll and finding Britney Spears. Okay. All right, so choose that, and that's what we see. We see this. You know what I thought I would see when this feature came out? Because I often go to a lot of devs and say, why aren't you running ReSharper? Oh, I just turned it off. I had something was slow on my machine, so I just turned that thing off. Okay? And they're usually the older guys that lived before ReSharper existed. And I had to even Photoshop this up. We noticed the extension ReSharper because I thought this was going to be what would happen. But it hasn't for me. Has that happened for anyone else? So it has happened for some, okay? But the only one I typically have seen is you open Visual Studio. We noticed that a tool window error list is slowing Visual Studio. And I haven't even opened a project. Anyway, I find that hilarious when I see Microsoft exposing their own sins with their own tools. Anyway, so I would say most of ReSharper, I don't know the ReSharper guys, but I assume they're pretty happy with this feature because their ReSharper is not being blamed for things that is not its fault. I'm sure they don't mind being blamed when they have got performance issues, but now they're not. So I'd say that's done. Alrighty. So let's talk about better Intellisense refactoring and code analysis. We got Intellisense, we got camel case matching now, match highlighting. So if you just type, do you notice that? ETS. So I didn't have to type amp time suggested. So it's just ETS. Let's try that again. ETS. So you got that camel case. I think that's kind of nice. You've got match highlighting. So if you can see the difference here, when we pop open the Intellisense, see the Intellisense? And see down the bottom, we've got all the filtering to the interfaces, the methods, the fields, so you've got that. Has anyone actually used that yet? Has anyone used it? Not one. Yeah, okay. But anyway, we've got filtering on an Intellisense now. And there's lots more stuff. All the new C# 7 features just magically give you assistance. So I'm going to consider this. Well, this had 1,000 votes on it. I'm going to say half done. And the reason I say half done is I can't say it's done until I can say you don't need resharper anymore. And that's not reality. All right. So better DevOps and debugging. So we've got a run to click. We've got a exception helper and a better null reference message. So there's lots and lots of cool stuff in here. I just want to show you this run to click stuff. So in the past, you would set a lot of temporary breakpoints, hit F10. Okay, so you click this, F10, 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 F10. Yeah, finger is now getting sore with F10s everywhere. And then you'd set where you want your breakpoint to go to. You'd come down here. And this is kind of the typical way of working, all right? So let's move forward and use run to click. So you won't need to worry about forgetting breakpoints now. You just see this little green thing. You just click where you want it to go to. So let's have a go of this. So you see the little green thing? You click there and you go run. So it just runs straight to it. You can inspect the variables. You might want to click somewhere else and then go run. It's a nicer experience, I think. Alrighty. So that's a summary. No more hitting temporary breakpoints. You click where you want. And yeah. Who likes that feature and thinks that they will use that feature? Wow. All right. That is awesome. That's almost everyone in the room. Okay. Now, I want to just tell you, I've got a few more things. So I've got about 5 minutes to go. Let's have a look here. We have this. See this dialogue? I actually never thought there was a problem with this dialogue, and I never heard Microsoft ever talk about it being something that they would invest in. But if you have a look at this, it got simpler. I have my own suspicions that some intern came in and said, I was just looking at the stats. Did you know that not a single .NET developer in history has ever clicked any of these troubleshooting tips? We should make this simpler. The only thing they ever do is they copy the exception and then they go over to Stack Overflow and search. So I think it's a little bit of the story. I wrote a 10-page letter because I didn't have time to write a 1-page. So, all right. So let's move on. This is the new one, and it's much simpler. I have a belief. It is almost perfect. It needs one more thing. That's all they need. And I believe that so much. I went and created a search Stack Overflow suggestion. So, and look, I had one vote, but I went down to Kristen Sand, and they all believe this is a good idea. Look, I have 93 votes. It is the most important thing on user voice. I am just going to, I have already tweeted it, but I will tweet it again for you guys. Here's my, can you read it? Okay. Hello, Norway. Support my Stack. Oh, actually, I should go Stack Overflow, shouldn't I? Stack Overflow suggestion for Visual Studio. There we go. Should I do Visual Studio? Yeah, there we go. All right. All right, that should be good. There we go. I forgot the hashtag. So, oh, well, I'm not cool enough to hashtags. People use hashtags as just try-harders. Hashtag, 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 hashtag. All right. So let's finish up. I just want to mention a couple of other things. Wiki. This has nothing to do with anything, but Microsoft have always liked a good wiki, if you ask me. In Australia, it's the land of Atlassian. Everybody uses Confluence. Microsoft had one with in SharePoint. It wasn't awesome. Microsoft bought this wiki Agile extensions. So this thing which was built by a third party they bought, and now they have a team inside Microsoft working on it. It's pretty good, but it's in Visual Studio. So we're using it, we're liking it. I would encourage you to use it, but what I have done recently, who's a Slack user here? Hands up if you're Slack. Whoa, I didn't expect that, 80% of the room. Who's a Microsoft Teams user? Okay, 4 or 5. Our company switched to Microsoft Teams, and it is really good. I am shocked. I should just go to the Teams just very quickly, but if I was to go into somewhere, this is risky, but we'll go somewhere. So we're doing an intranet. If you come here, so we've stopped using Skype and Skype for Business, so we're using this. But it actually has a wiki in it as well. My tip for you is don't use the wiki. Because they also have this notes one, and the notes is actually OneNote, and this one works offline on your mobile devices, of course, because it's OneNote, and it's really good. Yeah. So we've had a great experience with this thing. I'm really surprised. The team that developed this is really switched on. Oh, I've got to tell you a tip. I was just talking to Adam Stevenson this morning. He didn't know. He opens incognito window. Do you guys open incognito because he wanted to type in his personal authentication details into visualstudio.com or something? He didn't know about... Oh, sorry to shame you, Steve-o. I shouldn't do that. But see this? He didn't know that you can click on this and manage your different users. Like this. Who uses this feature? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, the rest of you, this is the hottest tip of today. You don't open incognito ever. You don't need that. You just have one set of cookies, essentially, your personal, and one for your work, and one for, like, we have an info account and all that stuff. Anyway, there you go. There's the hottest tip of today. Anyway, so what did they miss? Well, they didn't give us these transform things that I mentioned before. They didn't give us that one. They didn't give us the non-nullable reference types. They didn't do anything to do with Windows 10 Universal Apps in this case. They didn't give us XAML debugging. Okay? So, in summary, I think we've seen a fair bit. We talked about some history. We talked about how cool .NET Core is and Visual Studio Code. You've got lots of cool extensions there. And I took you through my favorite Visual Studio 2017 features. If you want to get in contact with me, I'm happy to receive emails if you want the presentation or stuff like that. Just send me an email. It'll also be up on the site. I've got some links I'll put in the PowerPoint for some important links. I care a lot about DevOps and stuff, so a lot of them are related to that. We run a Fire bootcamp 6 weeks online. If you're interested in that, you can get it. We also run SSW TV, which is free. So tweet your favorite feature. Support my Stack Overflow thing. I have some posters on the links I've given you to download. All supporting DevOps now. So that was the old one. It now supports DevOps. All right. Thank you, guys.